permissible. You're saying the ministry supports that is really what you sold us today for all the reasons that you gave us. Is that the message I got? I thought it was pretty straightforward. Yeah. But thank you for that.
Welcome.
Okay, and I don't know if this is a red herring. It was just, I'm sorry, John.
I think we can't ask him more questions?
I was personally saying,
okay.
I appreciate this, Kim.
Yeah. Councillor Ullman.
Okay, just going back, I mean, we've now thrown some of these other possibilities or other alternatives out on the table, and comments earlier about, say, Warwick, for example, and what the filters on the lagoons or the upgrade or whatever that they did there. But like I don't know if you've got any knowledge of that system, any comments.
Yeah, I dealt with that system right through the environmental assessment.
I guess my understanding is that was part of our environmental assessment, and it was evaluated by Dylan, and found that it would be hugely expensive to do something similar.
That's my understanding, yes.
So that hasn't changed.
No, in the case of Watford, you know, you're looking at what they had. They had 3 lagoons in place. They're adding a new one. They added an aeration cell, and they added a sand filter to look after this. With the volumes coming in there and the loadings coming in there, a system of that nature could handle it with what existing land base they had. They didn't have to purchase anything more. They didn't have to encroach on anybody's property. I mean, so a lot of things kind of pointed saying, you know, your best bang for your buck is to do this. And they had to go through that process to do it. And so I'm saying it just isn't a carbon copy answer for every situation. Everyone's different.
Okay. Dave,
Thanks. And I appreciate that every situation is different, and I'm sure that it's unique for us as well. But I'm not sure if you're aware that South Huron has done an evaluation of what their future growth will be, and they were told that it was very minimal in the Grand Bend area. There was plans for an industrial park at the airport, but that developer has actually requested that land be turned back to agricultural zoning. So that's off the board. I asked them what other types of inquiries they've had, and they said it just wasn't realistic, or it wasn't large enough to be significant. So it's minimal for South Huron, and whether or not Blue Water has plans to come in or not, that's probably very speculative, because they have made a vote that states they have voted in agreement that they will not put the people on the lake without a referendum that gets public support for that. So put the people on the lake on a sewer system unless they get the majority of the people to support that. So really we're looking at what does Lambton Shores, what kind of growth does it have, and it's fairly limited how much land we actually still own that's not developed there. It's pretty small actually. And if we were restricted from putting the others on sewer systems because of species at risk or other issues like that, we have to start to scale down our plans to something that's more manageable. And that's why something that's, well, I was talking with the mayor of Warwick, and he says they have about 2,500 people on right now on their lagoon system, and they can increase it, I was told, up to maybe 5,000 residents in that lagoon. I mean, that is a brilliant, it just seems to be kind of like the ideal for us. If they can do that for $3.5 million, why would we spend 21.5?
Once again, you have to look at the situation. You have to weigh out all the parameters. Okay? Like their system, I wouldn't say it was nearing capacity, and that's what basically drove, them to go to this expansion. Much the same, I guess, as Lambton Shores. I mean, there's really no industrial input into it, so I mean, you really don't need any to address, some of the toxins that could possibly be in sewage. You might need an enhanced treatment. But what they had in place to handle their increase, if they want to double their capacity, they handle it. What they already had in place, their land base and the technology to achieve what could be going out into that creek. If it came down to $3.5 million, so I don't know what the cost of this was. If it was $3.5 million, they did well. But that's site specific. To go and say, put another lagoon and a sand filter out at, for Grand Bend to look after blue water, South Huron and Lambton Shores, and growth, or even taking the growth out of it, I don't know, you'd have to do the calculations to figure out, what makes your best bang for your buck.
Yes, and I appreciate that, absolutely, but would you think that it would be unwise or demonstrative of lacking due diligence if we didn't even seriously consider that option?
I think it would have had to have been considered in the first place, through the
Well-
environmental assessment report.
It has been.
Well, it wasn't decided upon, which maybe at that point the projections for development were greater and other things which drove it. And now the beautiful thing is, and I know, I appreciate your point that yes, some of these things seem to be coming in at the last minute. But we have talked about this for some weeks. It has been on, I remember when I came back from an AMO conference and they were suggesting digesters at that AMO conference. I brought it back to the next council meeting. That AMO conference was the end of November. So I said, let's look at some of these digester options or other things, and which it wasn't done. But the idea is that, I know you're saying it's last minute, but it's not too late. We haven't actually made a commitment. It's better to do it last minute than bring it up when it's too late. And
Well-
so let's not, that's my perspective.
Well,
We haven't-
the problem with that is it's a drastic change from what's been approved by the province as an environmental study report, what's been approved by our approvals branch as the technology that you're going to put in place. If you're gonna change it that drastically, you're almost, like I said before, you're almost starting the process over again. And you know how long you've been in this process. I don't know, I can't speak for the grant agencies, but I would be very, think it unlikely that they'd sit there with $15 million waiting for Grand Bend to make up their mind.
Could you just one quick
Anyone else?
question?
First word. Dave?
I have a little question. Sounds about the biodigester. Does a biodigester treat raw influent coming out of the facility, or does it treat the activated sludge that's left over?
Well, I mean, a biodigester, there's thousands of types of biodigesters. Most conventional sewage treatment plants have biodigesters, where they actually, when they take the sludge off the bottom of the clarifier, they put it into a digester, and you either aerate it, and that's called an aerated digestion, or you keep it in a closed cell where it's anaerobic. If you go anaerobic, what you're basically doing is you're breaking down all the solids and you're getting a supernatant out of this thing, which could be introduced back to the front of the plant and treated again. And what it also will do, it will produce methane. And the green movement here, you can use that methane to fire a generator to produce hydro. I mean, so it's not a new idea, and in fact, I think even in Europe, and you're starting to see it here, is they're using plants, they're using manure, they're using whatever to generate methane to turn turbines. So taking this biodigester, I don't know if it's meant that raw sewage is going into it or if it's septic that's going in. Well, I mean, yeah, that's a great idea, but it's not going to address the flows of sewage from 3 municipalities.
Just back to your point about the province. And how it would be problematic for them to reconsider this. Of course, we're all aware that Moody has downrated the province due to debt levels. And I would think that the province would be happy to save $5 million and happy for the federal government to save $5 million and do what they can. And wouldn't the Ministry of Natural Resources want to do what they could to help out both the province, their bosses, and help us to achieve our objectives and save $10 million in the process?
Well, I haven't talked to the premier lately, but we get a budget, and we're asked to spend that budget, and there's monies put aside to build projects to make this province better. I don't think saving a few $1 million is on their mandate. I think they'd rather see it spent for the good of the province.
That's true.
I think. Thanks, Chris.
You're more than welcome.
I think